I'm Sivan Carmel. I'm the country director for Highest Israel, and we're based in Tel Aviv.
My name is Annette Berend van Zeeland. That's the official name. I'm also called Anneke. And I have been working at IDC now, Reichman University, for 10 years. I'm in charge of scholarships, which is very rewarding because I get to help a lot of students fulfilling their dreams.
I'm Professor Lynn Schler, the head of African Studies at Ben Gurion University in the Negev and the head of the Tamar Golan Africa Center.
I'm Jonathan Davis, and I'm the head of the Rafael Recanati International School, and I'm the vice president of the university.
So I'm Daphna Itzhaki. I have a PhD in linguistics and sociolinguistics. I work at Kibbutzim College of Education. I also teach at an MA program at Tel Aviv University.
Hi, my name is Joey Lowe. I began my connection with the IDC in Israel back in 2002 when I started Israel at Heart, which was a group meant to counter the very negative opinions that people were having about Israel. In 2006, I began the Israel at Heart Ethiopian Scholarship Program to help Ethiopian Israelis get a top-level education, figuring that they would then get a good job. And once they were working in the working place, people would see that the stereotypes they might have of them were wrong, and that they would begin to feel a bigger part of the country of Israel and would help Israel to show its diversity and its depth of different types of people who live in the country.
I first heard of ASO through a brilliant and successful student supported by ASO, and he introduced me to the organization. He was a law fellow in our legal aid program, and after the training, he represented other asylum seekers pro bono. And through him, I really got to learn more about ASO through the joint meetings we have with other NGOs about refugee rights and status and well-being. And this enabled me to understand really the essential work that ASO is doing.
Yeah, as soon as I heard about ASO, I was excited about the possibility of collaborating because we're always looking for ways to make it easier, because we understand that there's a lot of challenges for asylum seekers and refugees to gain access to higher education in Israel, to succeed in studying for their degrees in Israel. And we've seen that through ASO, we have sort of someone to turn to help us find out about available resources.
The Reichman University, the administration called me and asked if I'd be willing to meet some young Africans who wanted to study at then the IDC. And I went to meet them, and their stories were very similar to the stories I had heard my parents tell me about when they were refugees running away from Europe. And immediately I felt a connection to these students, and I said I would be very proud to help support them in their study.
Adam Ahmed, he was my student a couple of years ago at the TESOL program. Invited him to also give a talk for my students at the Kibbutzim College. And they are English teachers, future English teachers. So this is how he started getting us acquainted with the work at ASO.
Well, first of all, a lot of the co-founders or the founders of the African Student Association were my students. So logically, I got to know about it very quickly. And also, thanks to our beloved donor, Joey Lowe, who is an absolute angel, that's how I got acquainted to ASO.
I feel like that the organization is an amazing organization that's offering a ray of hope for Africans, asylum seekers and refugees in Israel, who a lot of them finish high school, they finish with Bagrut exams, they have lots of dreams and aspirations, and it's really difficult to realize them for a lot of them, both financially and navigating bureaucracy, and even just understanding what's out there, what's possible.
So I find the students to be extremely motivated. In most cases, in most cases, extremely motivated. They have tremendous goal orientation. They want to achieve a lot. They like to exploit every moment that they have on campus.
ASO is a great example of a professional grassroots organization. It's culturally diverse in the context in which it operates. It's vibrant. It's led by qualified members of the community. And ASO, to me, plays a critical role in providing opportunities for higher education for African refugees in Israel. HIAS has a long history of supporting and protecting refugees all over the world, and I think we share similar vision and values with ASO. I think we both want to improve conditions for refugees and speed up the process of their integration in the host societies.
I think you're doing such an amazing work. Like a mantra that you have to push the kids towards education, including higher education, to create something for your community and to be able to move on. And I think what you're doing is so essential. You need this mediation, not just to be more prepared, but also bureaucratically.
First of all, the fact that there is such an organization in the asylum seeker community is already a very positive thing. I think you help the community with dealing with all the Israeli bureaucracy, giving them all kinds of aid, whether it's also social aid and food aid. I remember that it was especially relevant during COVID. I remember seeing all these packages and stuff. And also some of our graduates who moved afterwards to other countries or back to Africa, they have become leaders. So they can make an impact in the communities over there.
Well, there's no question in my mind that the establishment of ASO accomplished way more than anything I could have imagined. First, what's very important for people to have, and very often people who aren't in a situation like that don't appreciate it, is the community that you build and that you have amongst yourselves, very similar to what the Jews had, was we try to help one another to build up the weaker ones, help those who don't have the same opportunities that those who are a little wealthier or have a better education have. And I saw that the Africans were trying to do the exact same thing, and that they were trying to build their community up by the leadership, those who had, an education, those who were responsible for, families and other friends of theirs who, were struggling, and having this institution or ASO, an organization which could bring people together, was a very important step in the development of the community in Israel.
So to date, I think we've benefited from trying to locate potential students. I feel like in terms of my institution, if ASO had more resources and more ability to provide scholarships, I feel like we could accept a lot more students. And so we're very, very grateful for being able to locate the students, but in order to help everyone register, it seems like there is a need for more resources.
Well, I think that Reichman University benefited from the African Student Organization, because the African Student Organization on a number of occasions held activities at Reichman University. It was good, it was visible, and it was very important for the other students to see this. I think it's extremely important. I think it's a very important ethnic statement. It's a very important ethnic statement that we have diversity on this campus.
So we really value collaborating with other partners, and even more importantly, working closely with community-based organizations and representatives and initiatives. And I think ASO is a great example of that. We really do look forward to continue growing our partnership and the organizational bonds.
So I think it fits well with how we see ourselves, not just an institution that is detached from society, but is also trying to give back and trying to work with different sectors in society. And of course, we see the community of migrant workers and refugees and asylum seekers as an integral part of Israeli society. And we've been working, not me personally, but people from Kibbutzim College have been working for years. So it is, I think, part of how we see ourselves as a teacher training college and as an institution that should be involved in what is going on in Israeli society.
Is that it takes a lot of the pressure off. Because in the past, before the African Student Association, I had to come in the middle of the night because there was a phone call. A student risks to be put on an airplane out of the country, or somebody else was thrown in jail. And so we immediately had to go in action and try to come to the rescue, which now I don't have to do anymore. I mean, let's hope not. So I think for now, for me, it is definitely less pressure, and I can focus more on the scholarship itself. Because the African Student Association is there basically for the rest.
Well, there's no doubt that any community that has leaders or people that young children look up to is a very important institution or organization. Everyone needs someone to look up to. I remember my mom telling me when she was a little girl, she used to read about Eleanor Roosevelt, who was married to President Roosevelt. And through books, she was able to imagine what this woman was like. And that helped guide her in the woman that she wanted to become. And people always need role models. And the students I felt who were getting a good education, top level education, who were surrounded by Israelis and Jews and non-Jews from all over the world, what they were getting is a feeling of belonging and a feeling of, hey, I'm every bit as good as everyone else is. And that feeling then goes home to their families, goes home to their community, and makes them feel accomplished. They've done something, they have an education, and there's no reason that they can't build a life that's full of opportunities, responsibilities, and achievements. And I think each community needs that.
It is super important. Just the other week, Adam came to give a talk to my students and future English teachers. And of course, they said it's the first time we're meeting a refugee. And then when he was when he was telling about the work of ASO, they were amazed that first of all, the young people don't have this, young people from your community don't have the opportunity that everyone else has to just sign in for a higher education program without having too many issues. And the fact that you guys care for people in your community, not just go off to do your own things, but stay and work for the benefits of your community. They were so impressed, and I think it's also important to spread that word, because people don't know. I mean, and they are all educated people, and they live in Tel Aviv area. They didn't know that so many people have such a terrible personal story of getting to Israel. And all the challenges, and that it doesn't end once you're here, and the constant battles with getting, permanent status and so on. So I think it's super important to spread that word.
I think that the ASO is offering a horizon. It's offering a future to Africans, asylum seekers, and refugees in Israel who oftentimes find themselves in jobs that aren't enabling them to realize their professional aspirations, their personal aspirations. It isn't tapping into people's potential. And so the organization is helping to provide both knowledge, skills, and hope to a generation of asylum seekers and refugees that could succeed in so many different fields if they're only given the opportunity. And there's lots of potential, and that it's only for the benefit of Israeli society if we have this young people that have so much potential realizing themselves and being able to truly succeed and get jobs in higher paying and more more professionally advanced than a lot of times what people find themselves doing in Israel.
First of all, I think it's very psychological. It's psychological to know that you have an African union that's there for you. It has a logo. It has a stationery. It has a letterhead. It exists. It's something that exists. You know, it's no different than having an organization of African unity. It's no different than having a United Nations. It's no different than having a student union on this campus that represents all the students. But I think it's very important to have a student union that represents African students in Israel, especially those who are asylum seekers and especially those who are being persecuted, okay, because they can connect people to lawyers, they can connect people to sometimes financial support, and they can sometimes save someone's life who's depressed. They need to speak to someone, okay, so you can also put out fires. So I think it's a good feeling. It makes people feel like they have a roof over their head, in the sense that an organization like this exists, because the tender loving care that you can provide is important.
By their education, they have become much more aware of what's going on. They know what to do, not to do. They know how to cope better with the Israeli society. And I think you, as an organization, have the tough role of creating bridges between asylum seekers and the Israeli society to make them understand who you are and create a more positive image of the asylum seekers in Israel, that they actually can do good for the country, for Israelis. They're not a nuisance or something. But when there's not enough information, when it's just, it's them, the asylum seekers, and it's us, and you are trying to create that bridge, and you are trying to get more understanding and more cooperation, which is a tough thing to do. It's definitely a challenge, but it's important.
In Israel, I know policies pertaining to refugees are often interpreted as restrictive or exclusionary sometimes. And in this context, providing support and educational opportunities for refugees in such a climate has a huge impact. And it's critical for both refugees and Israeli society. Having more educated, skilled, and qualified people in a society must, of course, benefit that society in a variety of ways. And I think ASO's work is already proving that impact. As we can see, students supported by ASO that were really able to obtain jobs that were not available to the community in the near past.
As Jews, we are obligated to remember that we ourselves were slaves in the land of Egypt, and that we ourselves, during very challenging times in Jewish history, we ourselves were persecuted by the Nazis, by the Catholic Church, by pogroms, by other things. There were many times in history where no one wanted to accept us and nobody wanted to treat us with decency. So I think it's very, very important for Jews who are well-to-do individuals, who can afford to be generous and kind, to join together with Joey Lowe. That includes foundations. That includes all kinds of other organizations who claim that they're fighting for human rights. But in my opinion, they don't do enough. Okay, so they have an opportunity to fight for human rights by supporting African students at universities here whose rights can be benefited by getting an education. I mean, that's the way I see it. Okay, and they need to do a hell of a lot more.
Thank you, because ASO is doing amazing work, really impactful work. So thank you for all the support that ASO has gotten so far, and really just encourage us to keep supporting because there really is so much potential and momentum there. I would really encourage them to stay engaged with ASO and keep supporting the organization, to open new doors for it, and to help connect them to your networks, because they truly seem to be, fueled by passion for this field. And they're just so professional that I think they should really be given every opportunity to grow.
A lot of times what determines a lot of people's lifetime trajectory is just having a guardian angel. Like, a lot of times, if you're just blessed with a guardian angel, it means all the difference in how your future evolves. And there's no doubt that there's dozens of asylum seekers and refugees in Israel that have been blessed with a guardian angel, in terms of the main donor of the ASO, Joey Lowe, and I think it's amazing and fantastic. I know that in terms of our institution, if there were more donors and if there was more resources, we could accept many more students. We have the willingness, we have the infrastructure, we have the desire and the motivation to accept a lot more students. But the problem currently is that there just isn't enough tuition to go around. So, it would be fantastic for us if there were more people that found this topic as something that was worthy of their support.
I've always been someone who believes that you have to do what you think is right. You can't just follow the crowd and do what others do. I've always, in effect, at this point, it would be really helpful if others started to get involved, not only in supporting financially, which, would be helpful because we could have more scholarships, we could give, have more opportunity that they have. So our goal is to expose them to more and more diverse opportunities for employment. And if Jews abroad, and not only Jews, but non-Jews, learned about what this community is about in Israel, I think there'd be tremendous support for them. And the areas that I would ask them to support is, first of all, asking the Israeli government to be much more tolerant and accepting of these people, because rather than they don't have insurance, they don't have access to the medical attention that normal regular Israelis will have, they're not being treated fairly, in my opinion. And those are easy things that they should get automatically. The present government is trying to roll back on things that they even have and making it even more difficult. It's important at this point for us to really make a stand, and that's why we want to send people abroad to speak and let the message be heard.
To Joey, you're amazing. We love you. You're doing a great job. Keep up the great job. Honestly, without him, and I truly, truly hope that he will be an example for other donors, because it can't just be one sponsor or two. You need a lot more. You need many more sponsors. So I truly hope that they will look at what's happening in the African Students Organization, and they'll see that it's definitely worthwhile to sponsor the organization. So I truly hope that you'll have a lot more sponsors to be able to keep up your important work.
I would just hope that you keep doing the great job that you're doing now, and just keep growing. I really look forward to our continued partnership together.
I think that I would always encourage the young generation to dream as big as they can, because the bigger their dreams are, the further they can go. But at the same time, a lot of times it's not dependent only on the youth themselves, and that a lot of people have really big dreams and really huge aspirations, but they just need support. They need help and they need support. And that's where ASO comes in. It really helps to bridge the gap between youth's dreams and their ability to realize those dreams. And so I only hope that ASO grows in terms of donors and financial support in order to make it possible for the organization to help as many youths as possible.
My hope is that the government would just reach out to young people in your community and help them. There are such projects, for example, for graduates in the Ethiopian community, the Jewish Ethiopian community, and other communities that they are mostly first generation to higher education, and there are positions for that and money for that. So of course my hope is that it would be established, institutionalized within the Ministry of Education or the higher education. But of course my hope is that you will be able to get more and more students into higher education and keep doing the super important work that you're doing.
I would like the African Student Union to one day be in contact with African student unions throughout Africa, which are also connected to universities in Africa. Okay, and make this part of an international conglomerate. It needs to be for the benefit of Africa. I see African students who study sustainability here. They're studying some agriculture. They're studying food technology. They're studying something about water. These people are gaining important tools. So we need to use all of this for the betterment of Africa itself, which has suffered greatly due to the exploitation of the West.
Study hard, really invest. It's only 3 years for your BA. It's worth it. And afterwards, you'll be better equipped with making an impact on the world. And that is what I hope for the whole African community, and especially for our students, that they can make an impact. They can become leaders.
My hope for the African community, first of all, would be acceptance within Israel while they're in Israel, to be given the same rights as others in Israel, whether it's to work, to travel, to come back to Israel, and they could be, working for Israeli companies abroad, helping to promote those companies in different parts of Africa. And then our goal should be to try to see how can we incorporate them into Israeli society, give them the opportunities that other Israelis have, and then if they stay in Israel, to contribute to Israel. And they can do that both by their work, both by their appreciation for Israel, both by speaking on behalf of Israel.